Namaste, hello, and welcome to another episode of Agile Exploration Hub Talks with Deshpande ji. Today we have another guest, Ashay Dilip. Ashay currently working with Abu Dhabi First Bank, and he is enterprise agile coach. And around maybe 2010, we worked together for small period of time. Even though we are in the same group, but we're not in same team. That's how I remember. That's what I remember. And Ashay is uh, very passionate about learning new things. He's doing a lot of studies on Lean, Agile, and recently he is also studying about neuroscience. Passionate about traveling, and I always looked at him as like he has achieved so much in his career. So someone can really follow his work and should try to become like Ashay. So welcome, Ashay. Uh,
Thank
Nice
you,
to have you on
Nagesh.
the podcast. Yeah. How are you
Thank you
doing?
for having me. I'm good, Nagesh. How are you?
Good, enjoying life. Yeah. How is life
Nice.
in Dubai?
Dubai, it's pretty, hectic in terms of, managing the work and, specifically with family. But yeah, now I'm getting used to that. It's been a couple of years now here, and
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty good. In terms of life, it's pretty good. In terms of challenges, that's another topic.
Yes, it's another topic. Yeah, yeah. And yeah,
Yeah.
so Asha and we decided that we are going to discuss about success stories in agile transformation as well as safe. So Asha, let's dive into our discussion. So first question, how to become successful like you in agile industry or any career options if you see.
Uh, I think success for me is a continuous journey, right? Certainly, the way you explained, that you looked at my journey and you found that I have been a part of multiple learnings. But when I look up to you as well, I see a lot of effort, from you coming from a testing background. You trying your hands on variety of things. There was manual testing, then automation. You moved into Scrum Master, coaching. Uh, I think it's pretty interesting journey, and it's also similar to what I went through. That's why I'm kind of retrospectively highlighting that when I started my journey, I started as a CBuild developer, right? And
Yeah.
then played few roles as a team lead. We had some interesting clients back when we both were in New Zealand, and
Yes.
a lot of challenging work that we did while in that company. And then when I was already doing a team lead in CBuild, it was. There was a major client where there was a requirement of a Scrum Master, and that's where I started my journey in Agile, starting from learning the Scrum basics, the Agile basics, and I was put into as a Scrum Master into already a large scale Scrum program, right? There were more than 15-20 teams, and I learned there a lot. Starting with a Scrum Master for a small team, then multiple teams. Looking at that entire agile delivery portfolio later. So it was really good to get your hands stepped into. And then while scaling that entire program, right, from the client, I learned a lot in terms of the transformation itself and the coaching part. When we want to get almost 100 to 200 people into new ways of working, there is a lot that goes as a part of change management. So
Right.
I started getting involved into that, although I was from a delivery role, right? So communication, training, coaching, learning, presenting, so all of that. And then I realized that that's something I really like doing, and delivery was something that I grew up with. So I moved from delivery role into coaching role. 100%. And when I started working with Western Union, it was really a great opportunity. I got some really good mentors in Western Union. A lot of learning happened in scaled agile framework there, and that's where I kind of strengthened my learning. And to going back to your question, I think if I look in retrospect about my own journey, I feel uh, if I would not have tried, to make that jump from delivery to coaching and kind of still been skeptical, I would not have learned about myself more. So I think
Right.
important part is that we are open to what we want to experiment. And certainly it's not easy to experiment, specifically in today's time when we want to juggle up so many things and there is constantly changing things right all around you.
Right.
It's not easy, but I think provided you plan it nicely, like I did my own study, I did my own certifications to learn about some of the skilled agile framework before I actually got into that. So I think do your own study. I was a part of some of the meetups, so I talked to few individuals who were already doing into scale agile and coaching as a role, and then I kind of got comfort level that okay, I really want to get into this. And then I could also share the similar work that I have done in my delivery role related to coaching to get into my company who gave me that role, right? So I think
Right.
being open to that discovering is a key part of this continuous learning journey. And that's the key thing that I feel I should that gave me the strength and continues to keep me on my toes.
Great. Great journey. Great. So, to look back again, the value of mentor. You mentioned few mentors. The
Yeah,
support from the organization is key. And I still remember most of us, learn agile in Healand, most of us. And
yeah,
when I look back after 10, 10, 12 years, we realized that, oh, we were doing very good agile, right? And there was a lot of
yeah,
learning opportunity. Neelan did provided that opportunity. They never stopped us learning, right? And encouraged,
absolutely.
take up something new, take this, team lead role, learn this, learn that. It was great. And another thing, like meetups, you also mentioned about meetups are key, is essential. I'm also going through meetups, and there you see different people, their perspective, their journey, their success story, their failures, and when they share it, it gives you a different kind of motivation or chance of discovering yourself. So great
Yeah.
journey. I can totally resonate what you are trying to say.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and Nagesh, on the mentors, I want to share some small story, right?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Uh, this is related to one of my mentor and my boss in Western Union, Paula Carroll. I was, pretty much new into the like, this coaching role, and I was coming from a delivery background, so my mindset was, we need to get this done, right?
Right.
Although I knew theoretically the coaching part, I was not patient, when I was dealing with my stakeholders, and I kind of came out as a very strong person that we're putting up pressure on some of the stakeholders, and there was a lot of heat generated. But
Right.
as they say, a good leader leads by example, right? So uh, I did not get any beating from my manager or my boss, right, or my mentor. In fact, she came up to me and said, it's all good. We all go through this. As long as you take this as a learning, I'm
Hmm.
I'm completely okay. Had I coming from delivery background, and how we take escalations very strongly and seriously, and we start criticizing our colleagues or employees, nothing of that sort. And that really kind of put a mark on me that this is how we need to exemplify growth mindset, right?
Agree.
uh,
Hmm.
Many a times we look at escalations with a fixed mindset that this person is not capable, or this person cannot do it, it's not his or her way of working, and we kind of label them permanently. But
Right.
my boss showed that growth mindset, saying that hey, you can get to the next stage. This is okay that you whatever you achieved or you did right now, it's okay, that happens. So that was a great story.
Awesome. Amazing story. Yeah, and absolutely, I strongly believe we should always, always, praise or thankful to such mentors. So moving
Absolutely.
ahead, yeah, let's move ahead now. So we discussed about our journey. We shared some similar kind of experiences, all that. But you also shortly mentioned about challenges also. But are there any other challenges that you faced during this journey?
Uh, yeah, challenges, many challenges, in fact, as a part of change management and transformation. I think as you get into this, role of coaching or changing the culture mindset, it's individual as well as the environment, right? There are two parts to that.
Right.
Individual in the sense that you can coach an individual, you can mentor them, you can inspire them, motivate them, but how would they actually enact that unless the environment is right? So
Right.
that comes the culture part. So working on both of them is kind of a is not an easy thing, because both of them are moving parts,
Right.
right? uh, as we say, we don't want to call people resources or
Right.
human resource. We want to call them live beings or team members or colleagues or workforce knowledge workers, right? All these uh, terms that we use, because they are the ones who are constantly changing their aspirations, their goals. They go through different environment, and
Emotions
similarly
as well.
the exactly, and the organization as well, made up
Right.
of these people, right? So when these two constantly moving threads are there, and you want to kind of embed or imbibe a certain mindset, it is a kind of walking with some uncertainty path, right? So I think the challenge comes as when people only look at agile transformation as rolling out of practices without thinking about the change management aspect or the communication aspect. uh, then it becomes a challenge. It's like a short-lived one. So really, what is not just doing agile, but being agile,
Being
right?
agile.
As we say, being agile,
Mhm.
exemplifying agile all the way from leadership to middle management to the team level. And how do we do that? How do we go beyond the ceremonies and events to exemplify that? Right? That's very important, and that's why I always like to go back to the values and the principles, right? Whether we were
Mm.
doing scaled agile or Scrum, I think these values and principles are very core of any change that we want to, inspire to people. So yeah, I think that's a kind of a continuous challenge to work upon, in terms of getting their mindset and culture to establish within the environment.
So you also mentioned about the individual people, organization culture, all that. That's fine. We can start working on that. We can work with people. We can help them to, change their mindset. Culture also we can little bit. But you know, buying these things or convincing or making understand these things to leadership. How difficult
Yeah,
it is. What is your approach? How you will, do it.
yeah. I think leadership is a a cornerstone of that entire transformation piece. Uh, every leader is different, right?
Right.
As we all know,
Yeah.
in every organization. And I think first thing I usually do is do a lot of study about the leader. I observe them, right? I try to find out opportunities to be in some of the meetings that he or she is there. It's important to have that connect, right? How do you introduce yourself as a partner, uh, not as a coach or somebody who is there to just roll out some agile transformation? Not that, but that connect, in terms of, can I sense what you are trying to achieve? Can I relate to what are your pain points, right? I think that's the key part. And how do we do that? I think there are various ways to do that, right? But each one of us, as per our personality, as per the situation at hand, we are trying to understand how we can have that connection, rapport, understanding, empathizing with the leader, right?
Right.
And then slowly sharing some of the possibilities of what could be, other ways of doing things. Could there be some experiments that he or she would like to explore? That's the kind of a slow path that would happen. Uh, it does not happen overnight, certainly. It takes time. I'm sure, each one of us have learned our own ways of dealing with these leaders. They usually would have very less time to get into these discussions. They have their,
Agree.
daily
Mhm.
agenda to track, right? In the middle of that, how do you get some time to talk about this, right? So there are things which are urgent today, but there are things that are important in the short term, in the long run as well, right? So how do we kind of balance this out in our conversations so that they don't see, they don't look up to us as, somebody who is always looking for something which is intangible, right? But they're trying to connect the dots of what is tangible, what is quantifiable versus what is, not, we cannot quantify, but intangible. Those are still valid in terms of culture, employee, emotions, right? All of these
Right.
things.
Right. Right.
So I think it's important to first constantly have some agenda in terms of, constantly engaging with leaders, and then try out variety of options to get to that.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. So you also mentioned, and correctly mentioned, that it the change doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey. It's not a one-time activity. So now, if we are talking about journey, how can we make it sustainable? The
Yeah,
transformation.
right. So sustainable, and kind of, I kind of remember, this these three components, that we talk about when we in terms of design thinking, right? If you want to have any product created successfully, we want to make it desirable, viable, feasible, and then sustainable, right? That's the
Right.
kind of a thing. But if you look at transformation, is it desirable? Do we see that people have seen the meaning and purpose of the transformation?
Mhm.
Is it feasible? Do we have necessary knowledge, processes, tools at hand to go to that next level of maturity, in terms of agile transformation? Uh, Viable, you know, do we have funding, right, for whatever is required to support the transformation, right? All of these three pieces needs to come together, and they are constantly evolving, right?
Right.
I might have been in a journey 1 year in transformation. Second year, you have different goals as a part of transformation that you want to achieve, right? Not just setting up the practices, not just measuring their progresses, growing the teams, right? All of that perhaps you have achieved, but second year you have different challenges in terms of scaling, in terms of rolling it up all the way to the top, across the organizations horizontally, vertically, right? So it's constantly evolving. And I think as a part of sustainability, we need to constantly look from these three lenses and how or these three are kind of managed well. If you look at it from a coach or a transformation leader point of view, right? That is one way to make it sustainable in my understanding. The second is, so I had got this opportunity last year to talk about the parallels between the ESG principles and sustainable agility, and I was kind of contemplating on these ESG principles: environmental, social, and governance. Right? Environmental, we talked about, and as environment is changing, the climate is changing. We all
Right.
need to be constantly be adaptive to that. Similarly, if you think about agile transformation, the organization, its customers, everything is constantly changing. So they need to be constantly on top of it to make changes, right? Uh, Social, the people part is a key thing, right? In
Right.
terms of making the transformation successful. Leadership, employee, all layers of management, uh, focusing on their growth, their learning, their aspirations, connecting their goals to the organizational goals, right? All of that is important. The
Right.
inside out part of the transformation, right? And then the governance is your ethical leadership, leading by examples, ensuring you derive a value, right? It's not just the output, but also the outcome, right? So
Outcome.
even transformation goes through that. So there are these three ways that we can look at it to make it sustainable, like ESG, from an environmental point of view, social point of view, and governance point of view. If we kind of continuously work upon this, I feel it automatically results into a sustainable transformation.
Great. Great. So one more point I want to add when you mention about the people, you know,
Yeah,
the uh, even uh, this generation gap. Earlier we were working with millennials. Now we are going to work with Gen Z. So we have to
yeah,
change approaches when we are thinking about transformation, because these generations have a different way of working, you know, and make them
absolutely.
understand why we are doing it and how are we doing it. It's a We have to wear different hats to explain it, because millennial will have a different mindset, or even
Yeah,
pre-millennial area, they will adopt it immediately, being it's a given to them. We I came from that era, so whatever teachers, whatever leaders, whatever my boss tells me, I will do it. I will not
yeah,
question, but Gen Z will question it. And
correct.
then, so all these things also need to be taken into the consideration. So that's that's why it will become sustainable. Otherwise, if we use same approach, it is going to fail.
Right, right. And you're right on that part. When you talk about the workforce, right, coming from different generations coming in. Similarly, the workforce trends, the working trends are also changing. Remember the
Right.
pre-COVID, COVID, then hybrid, remote, all of this is also changing. That's adding another dimension to this, entire equation. And but if I have to kind of take a step back and go back to the principles, I remember these three things that I think are applicable across any generations, right? And it is from the book called Drive, right? The
Okay.
Daniel Pink.
Right.
And he talks about mastery, autonomy, and purpose. So it kind of covers in nutshell these things, that how do we kind of inspire people, how do we create that drive across different types of workforce, right? Because drive is dependent on these three things. How do you create purpose? You're talking about Gen Z, right? So purpose is important. They should feel
Right.
a part of some social cause, that or some social impact that they want to be a part of. That's how they gave a drive. Similarly, mastery, if you don't give them uh, opportunity to become good at something, they will not hold on to it. So those are the kind of things that are equally important in any industry, in any across the workforce. I feel these are really helpful.
Great. We already discussed so much. All the new aspiring Scrum Masters, Agile coach can take away so much. There are so much takeaway that whatever we discussed so far, but still, on top of that, do you want to give any few advices or few recommendations to these aspiring Scrum Masters and Agile coaches?
Sure. So I think one thing that I have learned, that I feel we should start from the initial phases of getting into this journey is uh, try to remember that we are there to add some value. We're
Right.
not there to just implement agile, right? Many a times, I mean, even when I was there earlier, my understanding was that, okay, my role as a scrum master is to implement scrum. How does it translate into your team's output outcome? How does that contribute to your department's outcome? Is not something that I am responsible for, but I think that's not the case, right?
Hmm.
We have to kind of constantly bring them together. Where is the value, and how would you know if I'm adding a value unless I ask people, ask my team, ask my leaders? So, and how do we constantly measure that? So I think the focus on value, because nobody would do anything for the sake of it. So I think first
Right.
thing is to remember that focus on value. Constantly ask this question, that is this getting any value generation for my teams, for my department that I'm working for? Second thing I would suggest is relationship building is so important.
Hmm.
Specifically the roles like scrum masters, product owners, coaches. right? And the relationship is is not implemented or worked upon in one day. You need to evolve yourself into that relationships with leaders. So that's a key part, and I think that goes for a long way. Many times people are come with more inquisitive attitude when you have good relations with them. So that relationship is kind of a strong thing. And the third thing is I think that continuous learning part, because there is so much that is happening around the world today that if I really want to add value to my team, I also need to constantly upgrade. So this is not like you're done with some certifications and then you are, on for another 10, 15 years. Really, that's not the case,
That's not
right?
the
So
case.
we are also evolving. A coach now versus a coach perhaps 5 years back. There's so much that a coach now has to evolve today, right?
Right.
Framework is just one part, but beyond that, making that framework really useful to your teams is something creative. And I think
Right.
that's unique for each person. So understanding these things, I think, would help to get their journey accelerated.
Absolutely. So to my audience, all the speakers, all the guests that we had so far on this, Agile Exploration Hub, had a similar kind of advice for you. Certification will not help you. You have to constantly keep learning. That those days are gone now. You done the certification, you land in the job, and then you execute. No, you have to. Certification is just I will say either entry or validation of your knowledge, but experience is key. Learning is very very key. So empirical learning, what I always refer to, is very important. So bring empiricism, keep learning, take help from people like Ashay. There are a lot of people who are willing to share their knowledge experience with you. So feel free to connect, but absolutely agree with you here, Ashay. Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So let's fast track and go on to our second topic. Now we discuss about transformation. Now there is a big elephant. Yeah. Everyone
Mhm.
talking about it. Few people are talking good, few people talking bad about it. I'm neutral on it. How did your safe journey begin?
Uh, yeah. So that's a good question. I think Safe kind of pulled me into that. I was not consciously planning, to get into Safe. I was more interested in expanding my knowledge,
Yeah.
right? And so I had kind of implemented Scrum and then Scrum of Scrums, and I wanted some structured framework to learn. And Safe
Right.
was the most structured, documented, a framework that you would see, perhaps too detailed documented as well. So many
Agree.
times we get kind of so much overwhelmed by that we kind of just shoo it away, that I don't want to get into too much of detail. It's not going to work for me. That's where the dual mind comes into play. But yeah, for me, I wanted to learn the structured way of scaling agility, right? That was my purpose. And my journey started, as I was sharing with you, from learning others' experiences in Meetup, right? So people who have done that safe certifications, people who are SPCs, people who are playing the role of the safe program consultant. So I learned a lot from them in terms of what they are doing, how they are able to help. And fortunately for me, when I joined Western Union, uh, they they were enterprise safe partner. So it
Right.
was a
Mm.
it was a big partnership with Scaled Agile, and through that I got a variety of opportunities to learn, expand my knowledge of safe. I did a lot of trainings, got an opportunity to do a lot of trainings there on variety of roles, Scrum Master, Product Owner, teams, and then also got to implement few aspects of lean portfolio management there. That was the learning part. And we did a lot of interesting work while we were in Western Union. The We had one solution train of almost 300, 400 people. And
Awesome.
we had multiple agile release trains, which are, group of teams. And there was a good alignment and transparency at that level. So we were able to achieve that through these quarterly plannings, PI plannings. And we had started pre-COVID, but also during COVID, where there were so many new things, getting it online, getting it on tools where it used to happen in person. That happened successfully. And it was kind of a role model for the rest of the organization to come and visit our ceremonies at the art level, solution level. So it was a massive success. So that was a good exposure. I was lucky to have that with my good mentors and some good opportunities that came through. But yeah, I mean, I think again here, what is important is going beyond that. Uh, and I was constantly trying to do that. In terms of while I was in my safe journey, there was also so Skilled Agile looks out for the community contribution all the time,
Mhm.
and they had called us. So I was given an opportunity to also come up with some exam questions for leading safe. That
Oh,
was for
awesome.
5.1. Yes. So it was a very interesting experience that, we were divided into a pool of SPCs, and we used to have a very structured process to, like, we used to divide multiple subtopics. Each person gets a topic. We come up with some options and questions, right? And then we together review that,
Mm.
and people vote for it, that this is a good question to go or not, right? So again, I think these kind of avenues really help you to learn from others, learn from
Right.
others perspective, right? And enrich your knowledge. So I was lucky to get that opportunity as well. But what I'm trying to highlight here is, I think we should grab these opportunities as and when we go, because once you express your interest that you are
Right.
ready to spend that time. Because I still remember these sessions used to happen in the middle of the night while I was in India in the US time zones. But yeah, it was for a week, so it was fun. I mean, you kind of get disturbed, but then you
Mm.
learn a lot. You make so many new connections in that entire period.
No
So
pain,
yeah,
no gain
no
without
pain, no
pain.
gain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So no, it's important. Yeah, that's a very key message here. You know, so apart from your work, how much you are investing your time in doing other things, learning apart from your work. So I always encourage people to invest your one day, either Saturday or Sunday, in these activities. Not maybe full day, 4 hours, 6 hours,
Yeah,
and, keep doing all these activity. Yeah. Getting into the community, talking to different people is very important.
absolutely. And I think over the period of years, my idea of learning was, reading something, right? But I think over the period of years, now it has broadened. Uh, I look up to more interactions now with people to learn. And I try
Exactly.
to see, okay, the learning is not about the new topic, but also about reflecting what I have done, right? So, for example, a week has gone by, and then there were certain situations, let's say at work, how could I have done that differently? I think that retrospective I'm trying to get better at, because there's a massive learning that happens very much, which is contextual and which is there, with you, than just something new learning. So my focus right now is not, learning XYZ new things, but kind of, strengthening what I have learned, sharpening. That's another side of learning. But yes, my focus is on that. And sometimes I still have these mentoring mentoring opportunities and sessions with people where I do share what was my perspective, and I try to understand what is their perspective, how they would have looked at it differently, that situation.
Great.
And it kind of helps a lot. That learning would not come from the books, right?
Books.
So yeah.
Yeah, it may came from the book, but then you have to go through a lot of books.
Yes. You'll keep reading books
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. So see, there's too much data to that. Like
Yes.
it's a searching a needle in a haystack, but when you talk about the correct people, and correct group, you may get the answers or learnings very quickly. So that's another. But reading is again essential. We are not, you know
Yes.
saying that reading is not going to help. Reading will help you, definitely. So now
Yeah, but I
we
think it's very interesting that you started this podcast, right? So the learning happens through stories as well.
right.
You're getting new people, they come up with their own experiences and backgrounds, and there is a learning embedded in that. And
Mm,
it's more like a little bit of a entertainment and education kind of wrapped up together. So I think we are kind of fortunate, that we have these kind of avenues to learn as well than the books, because somebody who doesn't want to read the books, a lot of them do not want to get into the books, where there are a lot of them who would really love reading the books. Perhaps they would do it all the time, but now
right.
we have a balance of these options available.
Right. So I'll bring a small story here on topic of
Yeah,
this book. So there's a book called uh, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. Okay, I'll strongly
I have
recommend
heard
all
of.
of you
Yeah.
to read this book. This book's the Asha using word avenue. This book use word leverage.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you
Yes.
leverage it, whatever you have, whatever. So best example Naval Ravikant gives is like, if you have skill of coding, you know you keep coding. You may be thinking that whatever I'm coding may be not useful today, but if you code so much till 5 years, if you after 5 years you may come up with a new product or new idea or new website or something which can be useful. So keep doing it. So similarly, whatever avenue, whatever leverage is there, use it. So YouTube is one of the uh, leverage that Naval Ravikant talks about, and that's where we are using it. Not just gaining experience while talking to people like Ashay, but sharing this information with you, audience. So that's it. That's a
Yeah, and you talked about leverage, Nagesh, and it kind of triggered in my mind a very important aspect that we're talking about challenges in transformation, right? You're asking about that,
right,
and those would be there are these challenges where you can't predict them. Like
right,
people changing their priorities, their alignments, they get changed. But while this is happening, I think in our environment as an organization, there are certain people who we can scan, right? As we scan through, we know that there is a win-win with them, right? Those are
agree,
the levers that we want to make use of when expanding or kind of getting into a change management and transformation. I think that lever concept is very useful, even from this angle, that who are my levers in this particular environment, right?
right,
Is it a particular tool that is giving me a leverage? Is it the leadership? Is it the existing team culture? What are my levers here, right? And in different organizations, these levers would differ. But I
agree.
think scanning it from that point of view and having a conscious understanding of it is an important step.
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Thanks, Ashay. It was wonderful discussion, Ashay. And again, to my viewers, Ashay is not going, not only the first time here, he or or going go away anywhere. So Ashay will be back on our podcast again in future. It was great discussion, and we'll conclude today. And we still have a lot of things to discuss. And there, I already planned a second episode with Ashay. So I really sincerely want to say thanks, Ashay, for taking time out from your busy schedule and being on the Agile Exploration Hub, sharing very excellent points, different perspective, so much to learn. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Nagesh. No, this was a great opportunity, and you made it very spontaneous and a flow based. So I really enjoyed having this discussion with you, and thank you for inviting me. I really loved talking with you on this episode.
Thanks a lot, guys, and see you in the next episode. And please, if you like the episode, please hit the like button, subscribe my channel, and share it to your friends. And if you want to be a guest speaker on Agile Exploration Hub, do get in connect with me. We are going to provide LinkedIn details of Ashay in the description box. And if you want to connect with him, ask the questions, want to get mentored by Ashay, feel free to reach out to him. Once again, thank
Absolutely.
you, Ashay. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.